Welcome to this edition of the Weekly Dose, Challenge Your Perspective. This is Patrick Dare in Washington, D.C. Of late, I have been thinking about our society, and you should too. Where are we headed? In the last 2 decades, we've had a much freer democratic space. The media is free. A constitution was passed that was supposed to be guiding us in the rule of law. And yet it seems that on the moral side, we are degenerating as a society. Recently, we saw women being stripped naked in the streets of Nairobi and other cities throughout the country, just because the men decided that they did not like the length of the women's clothes or whatever type of clothes the woman was wearing. This could be somebody's child, somebody's mother, somebody's wife, somebody's sister. And yet the men took upon them to humiliate these women in front of a multitude of people. And yet it became like a sport. Thank God it stopped, and it should stop permanently. We've seen situations where our elected leaders use their power to just break the law just because they can. Some claiming that they have better security apparatus than the national government. That they go around with bodyguards with huge big guns intimidating anybody in their path. We see senseless killing that are gang related. And yet, these are things that a few years ago was not part of our society. We were peaceful people. I remember in college, I could walk in the middle of the night and go back to my dorm by myself and not fear. You can't do that now. We're in a society where somehow the political environment just makes us hate each other. All you need to do is peruse the new media, the Facebook, and you see abuses hurled at each other just because we belong to different political spectrums. We see our elected leaders actually lead this senseless vilification of the other community just because they're in a different political camp. And yet, what democratic space should have brought to us is civility. The idea that you can differ in your principles and yet be able to sit down and break bread. Seems like we're taking everything to a different level. We are worshiping. Churches now become a place that takes advantage of the very same people that they're trying to save their souls. Pastors getting rich out of the backs of those very poor people that come for salvation. And yet we glorify this. We have, as a society, come to a point where it looks like the richer you are, regardless of how that riches come, you are glorified. And I think this is a cancer that will eat into us if we continue doing this and if we continue accepting this as part of the norm. We're seeing situations where politicians, the ones that are supposed to be protecting the law and the rule of law because they passed this, try to evade it by using their political power. What is this society coming to? We must ask ourselves whether this is how we want to go forward or whether we want to have a society that is more tolerant of each other, whether we differ politically. That the individual person matters, your neighbor matters, and you should be the keeper of your brother. That is my perspective. What's yours?